Thanks for being with us. Thanks for being with us again. If you followed some of the other blogs, you know we've been talking about climate change and transformation, internal climate change. And I'm happy to announce we now have the leaflet off the press, similar to the blog. I think maybe a little better because I had a friend of mine help me just improve it. So we'd love to send that to you. I know some people uh, who are somewhat well known, people don't email them because they think that person will never see the email. You just maybe hear, from the secretary. I sent a book to the prime minister. Of course, I heard back from the secretary, but I don't know if the prime minister actually saw the book or saw the little note. But that is not the case with me, and I read every email, and I really would love to send you this climate change booklet. I'm especially looking for some people who would give it out during the Glasgow event. So there's my email address again, and I really look forward to hearing from some of you. And with it, I want to send the booklet tied in with today's message. Today, I'm sharing on failure, the back door to success. I've had a number of failures in my life. I'm hesitant to share this one from my teenage years. I had just become a follower of Jesus. I was struggling. My main thing really was still girls and my girlfriend. And in those days, we didn't go to bed quickly and have sex, but we used to sort of kiss up a storm. So one day I was in my little old Henry J. Can't find any of those cars anymore. And I went into a wooded area to start kissing my girlfriend. And somehow a policeman followed us and banged on the window. I tell you, I'll never forget that. And told us, I don't remember what he said, but basically get out of there. Well, I sort of panicked and I put the car in the wrong direction and it went straight into a ditch. We couldn't get it out. Then I remembered that her father wanted her home at a particular hour. He's a very strict man. I'm not sure he ever did trust me. And so I began to panic. We didn't have mobile phones, and I banged on somebody's door and said, "Can I use your phone?" And I called the father and I said, "I've had trouble with my car, and could you meet us on this particular road?" When he went to pick us up, he insisted on seeing the car. And when he saw the car in the ditch in the woods, I tell you, he really blew his fuse and accused me of different things. So that was a real failure. But it was success in that it woke me up to this struggle I had of constantly getting infatuated with different girls and then getting involved emotionally and really in the end sometimes hurting them. But I'm now in Europe and I want to distribute Christian literature in the Soviet Union in 1961 in the middle of the Cold War, and I'm an American citizen. Anyway, I was learning Russian. I had already learned Spanish. Our son Ben was born. He'll be 61, 29th of October, this very October. I hope to be with him in Idaho at that time. Anyway, my friend Roger Molson and I headed toward Moscow, and we got across the border with all our material hidden in different places, including cornflakes boxes, which is really stupid. So we were really celebrating. We weren't planning to give out anything openly. We knew that wouldn't work, but we were going to send it through the post. And so I was typing up addresses on envelopes, and one of the Gospels of John got butter on it, so it was soiled. Roger said, "We need to get rid of that on the toilet." And I thought, whoa, we can't flush the Word of God down the toilet. Great mistake on my part. we could have really hit it. But the next day I did such a stupid thing. And I thought, if I just throw this out the window, we're in the rural area, farms, somebody might pick it up and read it. Little did I know we were being followed by the KGB. We were under, excuse me, we were under suspect. And try a little water, a little lubricant here. And within a short time after throwing that gospel out the window, we were arrested and taken to police station. I'll never forget it. The man behind the desk had this Gospel of John in front of him. It hit the newspaper the next day, American spy arrested in the Soviet Union. I mean, it was a catastrophe. We had 2 days of interrogation, and they managed to find this little printing press I had. And eventually they let us go. It looked like we were going to be long-term vacation holiday in Siberia. But through that failure, and we felt pretty broken about it, I went for a day of just meditation and prayer that changed the course of my life and changed the course of our global movement known as Operation Mobilization. It was not known by that name. It was called Send the Light in those early days in Mexico and Spain. But that day of prayer and meditation, God gave me this name, Operation Mobilization, and this vision to get Europeans whose parents had been killing each other in the Second World War, where my wife's father was also killed, to get the Germans and the French and the Dutch and the British mobilizing together to demonstrate what we call the Revolution of Love. You remember I have a book by that title. There's the Spanish one, Revolution of Love. And so it changed the course of my life, because also before that, I really wasn't interested in getting involved in Western Europe. I was mainly concerned about Afghanistan, Iraq, Iran, those kind of countries, and of course, closed countries like the Soviet Union. But I just realized if I'm going to do anything in these other places like Turkey, we need to mobilize Europeans. Vision with my Spanish leaders, or only a few of us, we went off to the mountains for a retreat, and they agreed to help and really be the leaders. And that released me to go to Great Britain, where so many students, especially at Cambridge and Oxford, were ripe for this kind of challenge. And immediately I had opened doors to speak all over the nation. Next year, we celebrate 60 years of the beginning of the work here in the UK. By the next summer, 200, many of them from Britain, but from other countries. We didn't have Americans much come at that time. United in Paris, had an orientation conference, and then went out all across Europe distributing millions and millions of pieces of transformational, life-changing literature. By the next summer, there were 2,000, and word was getting out globally so that India sent a delegation. I wasn't planning to work in India. I thought there's many different groups already working in India. How can you compare India with Afghanistan? But they sent this delegation. And meanwhile, Dale Rotom was checking out Afghanistan. How are we going to ever work there? And I said, look, you've gone that far. Why don't you check out Pakistan and India? And he sent this report back, which so impacted me that together with that delegation from India to Paris to urge us to start what was then known as OM in India, I made that decision. Within a few months, these old lorries we purchased at very low prices, many of them right here in London, were on the way to India, which became really OM's really most successful ministry, with all of our clinics and our feeding programs and these amazing things, even helping temple prostitutes come free of that, and different ministries to prevent sex trafficking. And of course, a huge literature ministry was born. In fact, some of these books that I have here and give away actually are printed and published in India. So yes, I know that failure can be the back door to success. The strong message in that is I'd urge you not to be afraid to fail. It doesn't mean you just do something foolish. You got to calculate, you got to count the cost. I love to speak about those verses in Luke about counting the cost before you start a building. Are you going to be able to finish it? Because I see in culture today and in many aspects of society, and I talk about some of this in my new book, Confessions of a Toxic Perfectionist, that people don't count the cost of what's involved. And they make these generalizations, these statements, especially in the political arena, without really calculating what is it actually going to take to make that happen. And I'm just reminded of a number of disasters because we didn't count the cost. I think of that story, and I want to close with this, of Joseph, who in my view made a stupid mistake when he boasted about his relationship with his father and the coat of many colors, and really got his brothers wound up. And they were going to kill him, up selling him into Egypt. I mean, it was a disaster. And then in Egypt, he ended up in prison. Just sort of one failure after the other. But somehow things turned when he helped the Pharaoh discern some kind of dream. And he scored very high with the Pharaoh. And soon, in a time of crisis and famine, he was like prime minister. And he was able to bring his brothers back who needed food. He was able to bring them back. And of course, he didn't reveal his identity right away, but he provided food. It's a very interesting passage you can read in the Bible. I've read it many times. And he, in the end, revealed his identity, and he was able to renew contact with his father. He was able to bless and help his brothers in days of tremendous suffering and famine. Yes, there are many, many stories of how failure can be the back door to success. In my life, I've often struggled not with heavy pornography, but with photographs of very sexy looking women with sexy outfits. And I've had a very high level of victory, but not 100%. And I think those of you who follow my story know that one time in a woods right here in London, here's one of these kind of magazines hanging in a tree. Someone had used it for bullet practice. And, I fell into my old ways of lust trip looking at this magazine. And of course, when you're a person of high goals and aims, especially in the area of moral purity, which is the story of my life, when you fail like that, you really feel bad. You really feel bad. But, I knew somehow, even though I failed, even though it was stupid, I knew God loved me. And so I repented. I'm so thankful as a young believer in Jesus that I read that amazing book, Calvary Road, which of course I have mentioned to you here on our blogs in the past. And I just knew God still loved me. I knew he forgave me. Failure, that also made me stronger to stand against other temptations in this area and to just continue to be 100% faithful to my dear wife. Yes, failure can be the back door to success. And I hope you understand grace. I hope you understand God's love and that you've experienced this new birth, this transformation in Christ. And I know people have similar stories in their own situation, in their own religion. And I don't want to despise that. And I'm hoping such people will continue to follow me in my blogs. I pushed last time, this fantastic book, Purpose Driven Life. And when I was over at the Christian Resource Exhibit yesterday, I discovered they have a whole organization. They have a whole organization in this country with all of Rick Warren's materials. So if you live in the UK, I would recommend you contact them. There is their website. And they are giving this book at present for just £2. They're very involved with the local churches. And this book, again, is highly read by people who are not particularly Christian. And finally, if you're in the States, one of the best places to get all kinds of books at reasonable prices is the Ship Literature Ministry based in Florence, where we also have two different bookstores, one in Florence, one down the road, I think, somewhere else. And this is their website. They also have my books, especially Confessions of a Toxic Perfectionist. And I'd urge you just to check out this website, because they work through Amazon, and often their books come out at the lowest possible price available. It's a tremendous ministry, and that's the website. And if you're down in Florence, South Carolina, do stop in, visit our ship office. You can email me, and I would, put you personally in touch with someone. God bless you. And I do. Go to your laptop and send me some kind of email so I can, of course, if you send your address, send these free leaflets that I just talked about. Probably throw in a couple of books as well. God bless you. We love hearing from you. Bye for now.